Hello and welcome to the video presentation new to Schu Cal 2021 R3. My name is Kai Lindberger and today we are very pleased to present you our new software version. Let's take a look at the following topics in order to prepare you for the news regarding the master data and calculated project data. We also want to talk about the unit view, what has been changed there, and we like to introduce also a new revised facade. And we are talking about Windows as well as sliding units and security systems. And for this, I go directly into the Schu Cal. And I like to start with the calculation subjects. And here, especially for the surcharge on materials and coatings. If you go to the General tab and Master Data, you've got the contacts here. And we select Schu Cal as an article supplier. So the current fluctuations in raw material prices, which are sometimes huge, require variable options which must be taken into account in the program. And for that, we have created a surcharge for the materials. So you see here are the system profiles non-insulated and all the other discount codes. And below the discount codes, we have the surcharge for the rising raw material costs. And you can either enter them here in the master data here, and you can also save them as a block by using this disk. I already did this, so I saved my settings here, and now I go to the submenu and I call them up. Here you've got the surcharge for rising raw material costs, and I also add the date of it, and you find the raw material costs here below the surcharge here below each of the discount codes. And if you go to OK, the surcharge of the raw material costs are now here added. And of course, I entered them before. And then you can go to apply so that this block takes effect for your future projects. I come back to this a little bit later, how it looks like if for existing projects. And we also have added the raw material, the rising raw material costs. If we click on Schu Cal as a coater, and here we distinguish between surface finish powder coating and surface finish anodizing. And the profile, the surface finish powder coating, the surcharge, you can add here for the powder coating and here for the anodizing. So that means that the change to the master data here can only be transferred to new projects. And if the surcharges are to apply to a project that has already been created, you must record this in the project dialog. And let's go to this. I go to OK, and I go back into my project explorer. And here I already had an existing project. I double click on it. And here you see that was my previous setting, which was valid during the time I opened this project. And what you can do now is here, you can go to the submenu and you can either call the surcharges for rising raw material block from here, or because it's the current selection, you can also load this from the master data. So I go to OK now, and we have to do the same with the coater for aluminium. I go to the submenu here, and let's go load them from the master data. You can load Schu Cal as a coater. you can check here the surcharge and you go to OK. Then you've got the current settings of your master data, and that you can also confirm with OK. I save my changes now, and let's see how it looks like in the lists. So for that, I use my turn tilt window here. I go to the output and I go to the calculation. And for the calculation, you've got an important option here, which is called calculation data. If you check this option here, you get an extra sheet about the discounts and also of the surcharge of the raw material costs. And if you go to OK, the calculation will be transferred to the screen. And here I open my calculation and then I go further down to my extra sheet. That was the option of the calculation data. And here you find for all used discount codes, the surcharge which has been entered here. And also the surface finish for the powder coating, which is used in this unit, is also mentioned here in this list. So how does it look like if I go to my next output? Because the surcharge amounts are shown in the list of the quantity list, the bulk quantity list, stock list, and also list of effective materials. So as an example, let's go to the quantity list and we go to OK. We've got the quantity list here. I make a better view, here a larger view, and here at the end, you've got on one hand the total all materials, the surcharge, and the total material including surcharge of the rising raw material costs. Well, for the calculation and respective basic settings for the calculation, I like to show you also an additional new features which belongs to the coder. So we go back to the General tab and back to the contacts. Schu Cal as a coder is still selected. And here you find the aluminum surface finish supplements. If you go to the submenu here, you have to consider the heavy profiles, for example, larger than 5 kilo, 8 kilo, or 12 kilogram. If you want to adapt this kilogram, we have here a new function which is called scales. And for example, if you change the scale larger than 5 kilogram to larger than 6 kilogram, it takes effect here to the following dialog here of the heavy profiles. And if you go to apply and if you go to OK, and if you go back to your project, as I mentioned before, that doesn't take any effect to your existing project until, here I can show this, here are the 5 kilos, until you load this from the master data, Schu Cal as a coder, you go to OK, and then you've got the 6 kilograms shown here in this dialog. And then you can confirm this also with OK. So either you can do the changes using the submenu, or if you want to load it from the master data, then use the function load from the master data for the color coding. Now let's continue with the new display settings. And for this, I open now my unit 02. Here you go. And in this unit, I entered here a panel. And there we've got a new function. If we go now here to the submenu of the panel, I want to talk about the display settings. You already know we've got from unit display or defined, which belongs then to the unit display of the unit. Here, defined gives you the possibility to change the color for the unit editing, for the drawing preview, for the list, and also for the quotation. And we've got two options. Now we've got an option which is called Schu Cal or color as item. And here you see on the left-hand side, we've got the color inside and also outside is 9004 signal black. And if you go for color as item and you click on OK, the color of the panel changed now to the signal black one here. So, and please note that the color you enter will only be used for illustration in the program. It is not copied over for any of the output lists. So we remain in this unit here and take a look at the optimized item description for the offer management. You find the item description of the offer management here on the left-hand side. And that what I tell you now is valid for the long text and also for the short text. So the description of the unit is differentiated in more detail in the automatically created item description. So here you see calculate automatically. And here, for example, you see here a 3-part door made from insulated aluminum profile. It used to be that the text was aluminum unit before, and now we got it more detailed. So for example, window or door made from insulated or uninsulated aluminum profiles are now generated. And we have also grouped identical articles together. Here, if you see the door hinges, 3-number barrel hinge. So for example, for a double leaf door, the hinges were mentioned twice, for the left and for the right vent. And we grouped them now together. So instead of 2 door hinges on the left and 2 door hinges on the right-hand side, we group them together so that you get 4 hinges if they have the same properties. Right, I closed my unit. And now we change to the facades. And here I like to introduce the revised system, Schu Cal AOC, which means add-on construction. And this is about the push-on gaskets of the facades with 2 integrated drainage levels and with pressure plates from the Schu Cal FWS facade system. So the 75mm basic depth can also be designed as a vertical facade. It used to be that you could only use them as a slope facade. And for this construction, I create a new item, which is 011, and it's an AOC facade. Double click on it. And I close the windows doors. I go to the facade, mullion and transom. And the modular facade here displays all the facade systems. And here you find the revised Schu Cal AOC, and you also still get the AOC 50 and AOC 60. And you can use the AOC revised facade with modular or modular facade polygonal. I want to use the modular facade, click on AOC, and then I go to OK. So for this construction, the number of width and height fields and also module width and module height was left untouched, as well as the floor and the head recess. But here is a new function which is called face width. And here you can decide if you want to use a 50 millimeter, 60 millimeter, or 75 millimeter construction. I want to go for the 50 millimeter. And here you've got the thermal insulation. Let's see what's in the drop-down menu. You can use SI or standard. First, I want to go to standard. The design exterior can be standard or a flat cover cap. I want to leave it to standard. And the substructure should be, in my case, steel support. And the fixing to the steel substructure, I like to use the welded and not the nailed or the screw one. So I go for welded. And then I go further down to apply my construction with profiles and glass. And see what happens here. Of course, you've got the system here. You've got the facade mullion, mullion cover cap, profile, pressure plate, transom, cover cap profile for the transom, and also the pressure plate for the transom. But if you change it, the thermal insulation from standard to super insulated, the following happens. Here you get an additional choice of the isolator. And if you go to the submenu here, you have to consider the following here. For slope facades, the isolator profiles are automatically calculated according to the infill thickness. But for the vertical facades with SI thermal insulation, we have this now. The isolator profiles are not assigned precise infill thicknesses. So you can select the isolator in the item data tab. And I've selected the 266971, which is valid for 38 millimeter glass thickness. And you've got two more options for the isolated profiles. That is 266970 for 26 millimeter and 266972 for 46 millimeter glass thickness. Right, and it will also be displayed, of course, in our profile section detail dialog. You can see here you've got the isolator, which is suitable for the glass thickness. And for all of the face width, you get a new technical setting here, and you find it below the installation group, which is a flex injector you need for this facade. And please see our catalogs to the AOC revised profile system where you add the flex injector. Good. Now we go to the windows. And here I open my next prepared unit, that is AWS 75. And the first thing I like to introduce is that we have changed the article numbers of the windowsills. If you select the bottom outer frame, if you go to the add windowsill function, go to the submenu, you see here the numbers begin now with 529, and it used to be the 180. So that also means that the accessories needed for the windowsill have also been changed. So it's just a matter of the replacement of articles, nothing else. But what is also new here, I have added here bottom hung window with a drive at the top, which is the code number 204. And here you've got the type of operation. It should be a drive tech ventilation, so that is matched with the opening type. And there's something changed regarding the control unit. And by the way, it is also valid for the opening type for the side hung windows 100 and 101. And the control unit without is now the current default if you create a new item. If you go to the submenu, you can select for BSC functions with 6mm or with 12mm cable supplied by you, by the customer, or you can also use a drive tech controller. So without is the new standard when you create a new unit. And please note, I'm sorry, please note this change can also affect existing items. Please check your items and adjust them if necessary. Now I close this unit here and I go to my next one, which is a simple fixed glazing. I've also used the profile system AWS75.si. And what is new here? With this version, the transom above the fixed glazing, this one here, can be drained with a drainage component, which is the article number 246725. And when you use a 6mm rebate gasket. And you can find the drainage component entry for transoms in the technical settings. Now let's go to the technical settings. Drainage ventilation here. And here for the transom, you can use without, visible, concealed. That was also be available before. And now you have the drainage component, which allows you to get an article. I go now to adapt article to show you this, to get the drainage component 246725. And please see our catalogs in order to see if you like to use them or not. And please don't forget, if it's a standard in your company, please don't forget to set this in the general master tab using the system default settings. Well, what else is new? If you click on the field number 2, for example, there's an option glazing from inside. If you go to the submenu here, you can now using glazing from inside in the burglar resistance RC3. And for this, you get a message that the glass must be bonded and it must be a special glass PA5, which you have to bond in order to meet the requirements of the RC3. Good, I save my unit now and I close this item and I come to the next, which is the ventilation vent. What is new there? Also, I've chosen the AWS 75 of this ventilation vent, AWS VV here. And what you can now get is the airborne sound reduction. So if you double click on this, you get here the airborne sound reduction. You click on OK. And here you got the airborne sound reduction here for the profiles and also for the ventilation vent. And for the calculation, the values for unfilled flush-fitted ventilation vents are used. So keep it in mind. The values for unfilled flush-fitted ventilation vents are used. Now let's turn to the sliding and lift sliding systems. So I open my unit number 6. And lift sliding opening in the system ASS 50. So previously lift and slide handles were compiled as one packing units for inside and outside, and that was sometimes a little bit complicated if you use this construction in the dual color mode, like we do now here, powder white and also powder with pre-anodizing white aluminum for the outside color here. And these packing units, they have now been dissolved. So handles for inside and handles for outside are now treated individually for the order and also for the input. If I click on this opening, you've got here now two separate fields, handles inside and handles outside. And the outside color is white aluminum, and so is also my selected handle here. So that's a big advantage working with the dual color mode, that you can use different handles. And please note, which is important, this change does not apply to existing items which were entered before the changeover. The calculation and entry options remain unchanged for the packing units. That means if you want to use the inside and outside handle, you have to create a new unit in order to take this effect. So there are also innovations in the Schu Cal ASE 60 and ASE 80.HI range. Here I would like to take a look at the technical settings, because there are changes in the area of the insert profiles made of plastic in the outer frame cover profiles. And now I go to the technical settings here. And the articles are only available with pre-injected gasket cords, and the white color options is no longer available, and the new articles are therefore calculated for new items. And in the technical settings, this has resulted in the following change for the new items. If we go to the type here, you have here the insulated profiles for black accessories and or for guide track black accessories are not available anymore. But what you have is here that the cover profile for the outer frame side can be used as aluminium or as plastic cover profiles for the frame of the side. And that gives you the article number 278362 or 2420000 for aluminium. And also please note, for existing items, the predecessor articles are still calculated and the technical settings continue to apply. So that what I told you is just for new created units. And there's also something new regarding the type of operation here. We have here the slide with Tiptronic and the composite type. It used to be that you just get the vent with a double split insulating bar, but now additionally you get the vent with a single split insulating bar here. So you can choose from either double split or single split insulating bars in case you use the Tiptronic operation. Well, now we leave the sliding units and we go to the doors, especially to the ADS HD Generation 2. So it used to be that this profile type was used in the item property dialog here, but it moved to the opening dialog now. The type of profile you can see here is currently ADS HD, and you can use now the ADS HD generation 2, which allows you to get the proper articles for the second generation. And the following enhancements have to be introduced to the doors. So the single leaf inward door, inward opening doors can now be recorded, and there are further adjustments. And also in detail, please refer to the help file of the version 2021 R3. But to give you an idea, what has been changed is that the double leaf inward opening doors with 20mm rebate threshold and surface mounted or barrel hinges are now implemented. Also, you can get single leaf outward opening doors with 50mm rebate threshold and surface mounted door hinges. And you get the same with a double leaf door, also with a 50mm threshold, and the single leaf outward opening door with barrier-free threshold and barrel hinges are possible, as well as single and double leaf doors up to the resistance class RC2. And there are new panic leaves. They can also now be selected for the panic doors. And in addition to the door leaves with fixed insulating bars, the door leaves with split insulating bars are now also available to select. Well, now let's close also this unit here. And now let's take a look at the various security systems. And for this, I have prepared the Schu Cal ADS80 FR30, which is my unit 009. So, and here, especially also we go to the technical settings here. And there's a fixing group. And fixing group for outer frame can be used construction dependent from processing settings and processing only. And the second is construction dependent from technical settings. That means from processing settings, processing only, the machine processing is calculated as the previous versions in accordance with your settings for the version in the processing settings. No fixings are calculated, and this is the default setting in the master data. And the construction dependent from technical settings, if you select this, you see you get an extended dialog here, and you can use the fixing outer frame for door top, door right, door left, fixed glazing top, bottom, right, and also for the left. And that material is calculated, and the appropriate processing is generated for the machine processing. The fixings are created as article templates to some extent, and if the material is to be factored to the calculation, you need to amend the article data in the master data accordingly. That means here are all these fixings you see here, which you can use. Anchor plate with a diameter of 10, frame anchor prepared with 10 by 112 millimeter frame anchor. You've got here different possibilities. Diameter 6 screw prepared. These are all the options you can use now. And the settings are possible for the following systems. And for that, I've prepared a small slide or file, which looks like this. So these settings are valid for the fire stop profile systems, for the ADS 65NI, different kind of fire and smoke protection systems, as well as the ADS 80 FR60 30, and also AWS 60 and AWS 70. It might be that some of these profile systems are not available in your country because some of the systems are country related. But keep in mind, these are the technical settings of the fire protection and security systems. And by the way, the amended permissible dimensions as per the new approvals are taken into account for the test of single and double leaf doors in the Schu Cal ADS80 FR30 systems with regard to the new selected performance properties in accordance with EN 16034. And I go back now here to my ADS HD second generation. Just want to show you, because we have changed an article dialog in general. And for this, I go to my door leaf here. And you already know that we can use here on the top right the search for the individual properties to get the search fields here. But what has been changed is the following. If you make a right click here, you used to get a selection of the different kind of columns you can check, but now you have to select columns and then you can check all the options you like to get. It's more convenient for you. It used to be that whenever you have checked an option, you have to make a new right click on the column in order to get the dialog again. And now you can check here all the boxes. You've got a better overview, and you just have to press OK in order to get the columns you need for your daily work. Good, I close this item now. Sorry. And now I would like to show another unit in the Schu Cal Firestop ADS90. For this, I've prepared the ADS90 FR90, which is my 10th example here. And there were changes regarding the also technical settings here. And here below the processing settings, you can go to the fixing holes. And there you can specify whether the fixing is to be generated central to the hinge or above or below the hinge. And here you've got the new options here. You see the design for the barrel hinge, central or above and below to the hinge. And of course, you get the correct processing on your machine. Well, I close this unit now. And now I have some special information for country-related system. The first thing is there's a Schu Cal ASE 80LC that is not available in all countries, but it's used in the Belgium, Netherlands, and also in the Nordic countries. And please note, if you want to use this kind of sliding system, ASE 80 LC means, by the way, lean construction. You need a separate activation code. And if you like to calculate the system, please contact the area manager of your country. And there's also a system which is called Schu Cal ASPD70.NI, which is a panorama design. This system is available in the following countries: India, Southeast Asia, and Brazil. And this system is controlled by the country-related Schu Cal license. So you, in these countries, in India, Southeast Asia, and Brazil, you get an additional profile system, which is called ASPD70.NI. And for this profile system, you've got available openings of 2A, 2A/1, 2G, and 2G/1. And for some countries who are using the outward opening window fittings, they are now discontinued. So these fittings are not available anymore. and this is for fittings for project side-hung and projected top-hung windows. But one exception is the Chinese region. They can still get them. And the Schu Cal, it's valid for Schu Cal AWS basic depth from 50 to 75 millimeter. And the following fitting types are not longer available and cannot be selected for the openings. And the fitting types are basic outward opening, RC2 outward opening, and also the British standard 7950 for outward opening. So, and also please note, this changes affects existing items too. And with this version, the fittings can not longer be selected, and the selected fittings are changed to no fittings. And some further information regarding the Schu Cal AS39 SC.NI, which is DropTech 2.0, and 90-degree corners. So the non-insulated sliding system with butt joint bend and connections can now also be selected for the templates of double track 90-degree corner running internally and triple track 90-degree corner also running internally. And also the AS39 SC.NI, regarding the fly screens, also, as I said, the system is not available in all countries. And with this version, for single and double track types, a fly screen can be added in the field property dialog box. And there is a single and double track. You can use a surface mounted fly screen, and for double track, you can use a fly screen as integrated sliding frame. And furthermore, there are some general information regarding the fire protection monitor reports. You find below the general tab and extras. The fire protection monitor report you see here is for the ADS 90 FR30. Here for this system, there are new monitoring reports saved with Schu Cal. Now, these were the most important news of the Schu Cal version 2021 R3. I go back now to my presentation. So, by the way, you get all the more detailed information from the help file of Schu Cal. And let me also introduce the following. So we are doing here at Schu Cal Digital webinars for basic and extended online trainings for Schu Cal, for calculation, technical, and also for the order. And if your company is interested in one of these trainings, please ask your Schu Cal area manager or agent how to apply for a training. And we also have webinar recordings on Schu Cal YouTube channels. You already know this. Please see from time to time, we are extending our YouTube videos. And you can get there further online trainings and videos about Schu Cal Next, SCAD, MCO, and other kind of Schu Cal digital software. So, well, I would be very pleased to welcome you at one of the next webinars. Again, for today, I would like to say goodbye. Thank you very much and see you next time.